You are now tuned into DAR Sports Media, and we're coming to you with another media podcast this week. Man, burning up the charts is the news about this new WWE 2K game. And I've got some questions and some concerns that I'm going to ask my man True, the feelings he has on it. I want to thank everybody real quick, man. The support on the NBA episode last week was insane. We've been putting up some pretty crazy numbers lately. I would just ask. I don't want to jump on nobody's ass about no freeloading around here, but you know we're doing like a 600% sub to view rate. So if you're viewing and you're enjoying things, please sub to the page and help us out on our path to get to the places that we want to go. We would greatly appreciate that. You don't even got to turn on notifications. You don't even got to know when we turn off notifications for all I care if that's not your bag. But shoot us a sub and a like. I appreciate you guys. The 2K video game, the new one, Attitude Era, Monday Night Wars, gonna be the special edition this year. True said he might be tempted to buy it this time after not buying it for a long time. The Medium page, the articles are blowing up, doing crazy numbers. So we figured we'd talk about NBA 2. This could be a little bit like our MCU episode where we talk about what's hot and coming right now, and then maybe rewind back to some of our favorites and some of the things that brought us here video game wise. So True, talk to me about this article you wrote. Talk to me about your excitement about this new game. And then, I got some questions because for a few years, man, I don't know what about these games pulls me in. Like what engages me? Like, okay, it's great to see the wrestlers. The action is pretty fun. They've added some fun features, but like, what is the driving force? Because to me, it's like, okay, I set up my universe, I set up all my shows, I set up my belts, I set up my wrestlers. It's all great. And then it's just like, for what? Like, there's no feedback, there's no ticket sales, there's no numbers, there's no direction am I trying to get into the Hall of Fame? Like, there's no end. This is kind of jacking off after a little while, and I just kind of lose interest. So, what got you locked in for this one, man?
I think honestly, it's because of the fact the last couple of years wasn't like I was in any capacity to play a video game, right? So it's that's the main thing for me. So like being in a position where I'm like, oh, I can actually do that, is cool. But I also think nostalgia plays a big role in what people gravitate to and people like. So I like the idea of like, yeah, man, like let's do it, like let's have let's have a game that revisits and I hear people say, oh, why can't we do ruthless aggression, and why can't we do, and I think people underestimate when you have something like this, like a Monday Night War.
They've never really done the Monday Night Wars before in a game.
See, they've done the Attitude Era. They've done Attitude Era. They've hinted at this and hinted at that. But I think when you have stuff like that, you have to kind of look at, look at what comes with that. We getting the NWOs in there, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan. Not that we care about Hulk Hogan, but all these different things are happening. All these different things are happening. And so when you look at I don't know obviously we don't have like all the wrestlers that are going to be on it. We don't know, but there's an opportunity to bring back the cruiserweights, to bring back some of those guys that like, you might even see like a Norman Smiley in that motherfucker. Like, what I'm saying? Like, there's people you could see in that game that you don't expect. And I think also, when you they have Blake Monroe, they just announced was in there, AJ Lee's in there. So like you see these people like they're going all out. Blake Monroe ain't been there that long. You know what I'm saying? Blake Monroe ain't been there for a little while, but she ain't been there that long. Like, remember back in the day, if a wrestler didn't show up in the company by like April of that year, they're not gonna be on the video game because the video game will come out in like November. Now it's supposed to be coming out in March or whatever. So I would assume like June or July is the cutoff. And I think Ricky Saints is gonna be in there. They got Obafemi gonna be in there. Like there's just a laundry list of wrestlers that are gonna be in this game. So when I came up with started writing an article which did crazy numbers, I was like, I want to cover my excitement for the game and my excitement for honestly just like the entire franchise finally seeming like they're trying to course correct and right the ship. Wrestling sports video games in general stink most times, more than not. They usually stink more times than they don't because you coming out every single year. There's no expansion, there's no advancement, none of that. And so I think when I see that, I personally am not a fan of those things. Like I'm not a fan of those. And so Madden, NBA 2K. 2K has not done a great job with WWE. Speak clear. They have not done a great job.
Surprise me that it's a 2K game and they haven't done one of the things that's most popular in 2K games. That seems like an obvious, because wrestling people love nostalgia so much. Where the hell they need to do a WWE eras mode like in 2K, where you do a story mode, but it's a story mode in the golden age, and like you're interacting with Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant and Macho Man, and then a story mode in the Attitude Era where you're interacting with The Rock and Stone Cold and Triple H, and then a Ruthless Aggression story mode, like they
2K14. 2K14 kind of did that with 30 years of
30 years of
WrestleMania. So they kind of did that, but I think, and that's why 2K14 is one of the best editions. But I think a lot of times when you have these games, like people don't actually stop and think about like licensing is a thing. Without true competition, you don't make your best. And these games, you don't have no competition. You have a monopoly on shit. You can do whatever you want, and that is why monopolies suck, because like other people can't eat, other people can't get out there. Like you remember when 2K was trying to get in the NFL shit?
Oh, hell yeah, that was the best. That's still to this day. That's like the best football game ever. Was the last ESPN football by 2K? Yes, yes.
And when you see that and you think about it, you go like, man, like for the NBA Live, they used to have NBA Showtime or whatever it was with Kobe Bryant, NBA Street. There was like 5 or 6 NBA games, coming up that you could play. And with WWE, WCW, we had, WCW versus NWO Revenge, WCW versus The World, WWF.
You don't got to go list. I'll just jump into it now. Those Aki games, AKI was the one who published those games. WCW NWO World Tour. That's a forgotten one. That's like one of my fucking favorites. And WCW NWO Revenge. That to me is the last time it truly felt like different characters played in different ways. Like you would play as Rey Mysterio and it would feel drastically different than the moveset like Kevin Nash had, and DDP had the Diamond Cutter, and Goldberg was super strong, and then you would use he had a different name, so I believe his name was Hannibal in WCW NWO World Tour. It was Hayabusa, and he would play drastically different. He was fucking awesome. And there was Great Sasuke was in that game too. So what they used to do with those games back then, and this sounds fucking wild now, of course, is so that same company made basically the same type of game for Japan, for like NJPW and HAPW back then, and so they had all the character models already installed in the coding of the game. So they would use the character. It would be literally the exact same guy, like look the same, dress the same moveset from the Japanese game from Virtual Pro Wrestling 64. But they would just give him a different name and then just let him be in the game. So like all those games have Steve Williams and they have Hayabusa and they have the Great Sasuke, among many others. You name it, they're in there. And those games, they felt like you were playing with different types of guys across the board. And it just, the contact felt so good and the controls were so good. And it was so revolutionary for its time. And to me, honestly, the matches made almost more sense than the ones that they do today. Just a perfect blend of arcade action and simulation. If you can get a hold, there's so many like emulators and like so much cool stuff that people do. Honestly, my advice, I don't know why the publishers don't just get a hold of the Aki engine and just make a modernized Aki game from the engine and just spruce some things up and then sell it as like just an online kind of throwback retro type game for $20. The people who don't want to buy 2K, well, we got this for you, or make it like a bonus on the 2K sale. Like I would buy 2K then, like, oh, here's the whatever the fuck version of this super pack, $100, and it includes a modernized Aki game of current WWE. I would fucking buy that in an instant. I don't know why they don't do that. I miss the hell out of those games. What you got? You got any memories of those ones?
Not too many. You know what I want to do? I want to go back for a second, right?
Yeah.
I want to mention something. I think the first game I ever played was Super Brawl. WCW Super Brawl.
Oh. That one it's surprising you didn't swear off of wrestling right fucking then.
It was god awful. It was
that game has an awesome roster in it. Like it's a great fucking roster, but man, is that gameplay dog shit. Holy fuck.
It's terrible.
It has like a top-down isometric camera angle where you can't fucking look it up right now. If you're listening to this and like you want to just laugh, like go into YouTube, open another YouTube window and look up WCW Super Brawl 4. I know they had it for Super Nintendo. Do they have it for Sega Genesis too?
Hold on, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Did they? I know they had it for Super Nintendo. Did they have it for Sega Genesis too?
I don't know. I had Super Nintendo, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah. All right. That's where I played it, was Super Nintendo.
Yeah, because when you said Super Nintendo, I was like, wait, Genesis. Like, I like the first game I played on, because I did get a Sega. Sega Genesis, the first game I played wrestling wise was WWF Raw.
Yeah, WWF Raw was a fucking classic, dude.
Yeah, and I love that game. Same thing with like WrestleMania arcade game. Obviously, that like you go to the arcade as a kid and you see that there, and obviously the arcade game is a precursor to In Your House, which is also In Your House is not a classic. Let me just be clear. In Your House is not a classic, but In Your House is like one of those games where you're like, oh snap, like oh snap, this game is a shit ton of fun. Like Ultimate Warrior had this, the Undertaker had a graveyard. The roster
was crazy in that game, the In Your House game.
And then like you had like the different little dimensions of like, oh, you play as Ahmed Johnson, you go into Pearl River because of the Pearl River plunge.
Yeah. They had different environments for everybody. Yeah.
And I think that back then, WWF reflected that with their product, right? Like you have, Goofy. Very character driven. Yeah. Doink the Clown and shit like that. And, and Duke the Dumpster Drosy, who I don't think Duke the Dumpster Drosy was ever in a video game. And that saddens me because I was a fan of Duke the Dumpster Drosy as a child. I thought
feel like that would be a cool, like deep cut DLC, like package.
I feel like when you look at, the games of today, it lacks that fun factor. And that is why, to circle back, that's why I think I'm excited about 2K26, because it's like you fell in love with wrestling during the Attitude Era. You might have, like your brother fell in love with it. Your uncle fell in love with it. Like everybody watched wrestling during the Attitude Era. So if you're looking for something to get people excited, nostalgia is always the best way to go, because
harkening back. We'll go back. So we'll start from the beginning here. I looked up that Super Brawl roster. This roster is crazy. Super Brawl, WCW Super Brawl for Super Nintendo. Vader, Sting, the Steiners, Barry Windham, All-American, Ron Simmons, Rick Rude, Ric Flair, Johnny B. Bad, the Natural Dustin Rhodes, and Flying Brian Pillman. Tremendous roster. There's a bunch of I hardly got no games where all those dudes are all together in it. And I did want to bring up, I did want to run this by you. And this is why I was hoping we had another graybeard in here with me. Because I don't know if you're going to be able to quite make this connection, but maybe people out there who are listening to this are old enough. They'll know what I'm talking about. So you talked about that Raw game on Genesis.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming you played the game that is a sequel to Royal Rumble for Super Nintendo, right? Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Actually, that's funny. I'm sorry. I should have said right after I played Super Brawl, Royal Rumble was like next. Like Royal Rumble was like next for me. Like
it was incredibly superior. You could do specials in that. The specials look fucking awesome.
So okay,
I implore anyone, look up, go, open another YouTube tab. Like I said, go check out. I'm sure there's a medley. Like you can look up on YouTube, like finishing moves on SNES Royal Rumble. They look fucking sweet. And what I wanted to bring up, did you ever play the Nintendo WWF games, WrestleMania and WrestleMania Challenge? There was a couple of other ones too. There was a King of the Ring, there was a Steel Cage Fury, but the big ones were WrestleMania and WrestleMania Challenge. Did you ever play those?
I played WrestleMania Challenge. I saw my uncle play WrestleMania. My uncle was
fuck. Oh yeah, my god! Everybody would always play as Hulk Hogan or Macho Man Randy Savage, and you could first match was against $1 Million Man, and you could whoop $1 Million Man. But then after that, you go against Bam Bam Bigelow, and he was fucking ridiculous. He was so fucking hard. And then I believe after that, you go against Andre the Giant, who was even fucking worse. But the leap from that game and how it looked and how it played and how everything went, the leap from that to Royal Rumble in one console generation, I would argue is the biggest single leap wrestling video games have ever had. You have to go back. Like I said, that sounds crazy, but I'm just talking purely the gap between what one looks like and plays like and what the next one looks like and plays like. The difference. Go back.
I don't even think that's that's that crazy. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
On NES, and then look up Royal Rumble on SNES and look at the difference. It's insane. Both Royal Rumble and Raw are fucking achievements in video games. They look incredible. They sound incredible. They have incredible 16-bit boxy versions of the theme music of everybody in the games. It's fucking fantastic. Check them out.
I'll say this. I think the Nintendo, Super Nintendo era of wrestling games is something, I'd say special, but I'd say also it shows, it's a great way to look back at how far gaming has come over the last 30, 40 years or whatever. So I think when you look at the Royal Rumble game, I actually own that game. That Royal Rumble game on Super Nintendo, I own that game. I had that game. I played that game. And I remember thinking to myself as a kid, what's better than this? Like, what could get better than this? Like, I'm a wrestling fan, and but I had the game before I was like a full-fledged wrestling fan. I just saw it and I thought it looked cool, and I was like, okay, remember back in the days like Blockbuster and stuff like that. You can rent the games. They used to let you rent games back in those days, so you could easily try it out without buying it, and that made my day, all the time. So I think being able to play that Royal Rumble, I think that Royal Rumble game was, I agree with you. I think it was one of the first of its kind, and I think it's still a one of a kind game in that way, where there's not a lot of wrestling games where you go like, oh, this is this or this is that. Like back then, the limitations, like you said, WrestleMania Challenge and stuff like that, like it was very limited. I will say, however, WWF from like 93, 94-ish, I guess, something like that, to about 99, 2000, they had some struggles with their games. Like, I don't think like the Raw game was a classic on Sega, Royal Rumble was a classic, but once we get past those, In Your House is a classic for like fun reasons. But then you look at like the Acclaim era. That's what I'll say. The Acclaim era of WWF, Warzone, Attitude, stuff like that. You get THQ coming in. You get No Mercy. You get SmackDown. You get SmackDown 2. Was it Know Your Role? You get SmackDown on PlayStation 2. Just Bring It. Shut Your Mouth. Just Bring It is an awful game. Let me just be clear. SmackDown Just Bring It is actually a very awful game. SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown versus Raw 2006. All these are classics, by the way. It's all classics. It's all classics to me. Once you get past the SmackDown, I think the SmackDown era, besides Just Bring It, was mostly like all classics or all really good games. But that little 3 or 4 year period before they hit on No Mercy, WrestleMania
It was
2000,
shaky. Oh, I
it
want to talk
was
about those. I
really
want to talk about
shaky.
those. Between, hold on, real quick though. I want to bring up a really. I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up because it's like fucking kind of obscure, but it's like kind of wild. So there was also a game for Sega called Super WrestleMania, and it's the same everything as Royal Rumble, same graphics, same character models, same gameplay. But it's called Super WrestleMania. It's based off WrestleMania, and it has like a wild roster, man. It has Hogan, it has Whoopi Goldberg, dreadlocks, braids, British Bulldog. It
That's
has
wild.
it has Papa Shango. It has Ultimate
I've seen this
Warrior.
game. I've seen this game. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's fucking wild, man. So I would suggest people. It's really kind of obscure. I would suggest people check it out. So not just the WrestleMania arcade game, and not just you're in your house, which is definitely look that up if you want a trip. Check out YouTube. Find WWF in your house for was it the PlayStation 1 or was it?
It was the first game on PlayStation 1. It's like the first WWF game actually on PlayStation 1, which is crazy because I wish they could bring that back. You know, like I wish we could get like a Ahmed Johnson, Farouk, and guys like that. I mean, obviously Farouk wasn't
That's what I was going to guess.
house.
It's say, man, they're getting all these people in the game. Where's Ahmed Johnson, baby? Where's an Ahmed Johnson in the modern games? Need that.
Yeah, we definitely need that.
Let's talk about the Acclaim era. You know the ones I'm talking about. Fucking Warzone and Raw, and wasn't there another one? It was named something else. So one thing I do want to say, and this I know a lot of this shit. You know what though? This isn't even in the modern games. The thing I'm about to talk about. So this sounds really antique and like, okay, old fucking man, but this was fucking crazy at the time. And honestly, like I said, it's not in the games now. So they have the wrestler entrances, right? And it has like a ramp or it has like a flat, walkway, and the wrestlers walk out. Well, the King of the Ring set that year had steps to walk down. And for the entrances, every wrestler in the game had an animation of them walking down steps. Like it's fucking. And if you created because you had create an arena. It was a pay-per-view, but then with the pay-per-view, you got to create the set for the pay-per-view that you were making. If you put that stage in there, all the wrestlers would walk down the steps during your show. Like that was fucking. That's you know what I'm saying. They don't do that now. Like everybody, no matter how you set up a ramp or a walkway in the new games, they all walk out the same way. I just remember seeing the visuals of that game in the PlayStation. Remember that fucking thing, PlayStation Magazine? Do you remember that? Did you read PlayStation Magazine? Did you used to have it back in the day?
I think I had like an issue or two. I think the game magazine that I remember the most was probably Game Informer. I want to say that's the one that I remember, but I didn't. I read PlayStation Magazine, but I didn't read it that much.
Of these games in PlayStation Magazine, and I just remember the first time I saw those visuals, my mind was just so fucking blown by how back then it was a big deal. How good they fucking looked. I felt. So talk to me about some memories of the Acclaim era. These games are just to be clear for everybody listening to this who doesn't know what we're talking about. These games are known as being a dog shit.
Well, it's funny because Acclaim did do a lot of the games that we like. If you actually think about it, like they did, I believe, did like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, stuff like that. Yeah,
those old ones we're talking about. Yes, those are all Acclaim games. Yep.
What I think is when we got into was it Warzone? I'll never forget this. This is my story. This is my walk down memory lane. My mother gets off work and she says, "Oh, I think you want that game, right? You want that game." And I was like, "What game?" And she was like, "We're going to KB Toys." That's a throwback for your ass. Yeah. KB Toys. Yes, sir. Now, we went to KB Toys. We walk into KB Toys. She's like, "What's that wrestling game?" And I got as a kid, when you're not expecting to get like something, like you're not, and you get it, and you like, oh shit, like, oh God, I got a game. And like he pulls out the game with Stone Cold on the front, and I'm going crazy. I'm like, oh, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Stone Cold. And like I get the game, I go, and as a kid, I was a kid, right? So like it's different as a kid. Like I was just excited to see him walk out with the glass, hear the glass break and him walk out. But I remember thinking as a kid, I was like, man, these graphics kind of look a little boxy,
a little boxy, yeah,
a little wonky. All right, like whatever, can't judge that too much. Whatever, compared to what I played prior to that, I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And then I remember playing the game, and I was just like, man, this game is kind of boring. Like as a kid, I'm like, man, this game. But like, I would pick it up for a while, play it, and I thought the controls sucked. Thought the gameplay was pretty bad. Like everything about the game just didn't do it. The only excitement about it was that I could come out as like Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold and Ahmed Johnson, and they also did that cool shit where they would talk. Like they would talk.
Pre-match talks. Yeah.
Like that. Like that was cool, but that was the only cool thing about it. Which we'll talk about some pre-match stuff in these WCW games, because I still think Alex Wright has the greatest pre-match promo in a video game ever. But I'll say the Attitude game was a little bit better, like slightly better than Warzone, but it still suffered from the same issues. And it was gameplay. It comes down to gameplay, graphics, and just all around, just like they are universally shitted on, and rightfully so. Like rightfully so, they're universally shitted on because they were not good. They were not exciting. They were not fun. And I can look back at a lot of games like we're doing that. We're doing this now. We're talking about WrestleMania. We're talking about Royal Rumble. We're talking about WWF Raw. I have no fond memories of Attitude or Warzone outside of the taunts. That was it.
That was a big deal. I mean, the whole thing, even the heavyweights of the era, and that's what's hard. They had these kind of bummer ass Acclaim games at the same time. WCW had, to this day, some of the most fun, exciting wrestling video games ever created. The Aki games, World Tour and Revenge. But they didn't have full entrances. Revenge has full entrances as far as like the movements, but they don't have music. The right music. They have some music, but it's not the actual theme songs of the wrestlers. Warzone had everything, and like I said, had its own different walkout animations. It's fucking crazy. I have, and then later on, the Aki games did get the full entrances with WrestleMania 2000, which, by the way, I feel is a very underrated game.
It's a really good game. Yeah.
It has features in it that aren't in fucking No Mercy. Like cool shit you can do in WrestleMania 2000, you can't do in No Mercy. WrestleMania 2000 and the big dog, the grandfather of them all, the granddaddy of them all, WWF No Mercy. They eventually got full entrance, like great full entrances, by the way. Like, you get the full brood thing. You get it's phenomenal. But WCW NWO Revenge, I remember you were talking about, I think you said something about like you could try out the games before you buy. So the video store that was by me, you could go there and you could pay money they had like a whole thing set up, like these long tables, like these long shelves, all these TVs, and they had the consoles there, and you could get the game off the shelf and play at the video store. And you would pay what I think it was like, I want to say it was $5 for an hour or something like that. All the people there were super fucking cool. I would go there. They could tell I was in fucking rags. I was dressed in the same clothes every fucking day I came there. Like, they could tell I was fucking poor. So, they'd be like, oh, you can have like a special rate. And like, I just pay like $2 and they just let me stay for like hours, like playing video games. Right. And you would go there with a group of friends and everybody pool their money together and you'd get on that WCW NWO Revenge with the fucking 4-man battle royals and fucking be doing doomsday devices on each other and just all sorts of insane fucking things. Later on, you got the Royal Rumbles where people would enter one after another. I
Yeah.
have fucking phenomenal fucking memories with my uncle and my cousin playing that game together. Talk to me about the Aki era, man. Memories that you have.
I mean, pretty much is my memories just stem from, like I said, just playing some of those games and like No Mercy. It's funny, everybody was on No Mercy, but like I wasn't as big of a No Mercy guy as like everybody else. Like I was, but like I also wasn't a No Mercy guy. Like No Mercy was kind of like people played. I didn't play N64 that much. Like truth be told, I didn't play N64 that much. So while everybody was talking about like No Mercy, I was like, I was on SmackDown. I was on SmackDown. We're in we're in that THQ era. We're getting to that point. So I was on that, and I remember I went over to a friend's house. I used to go to his house because he had N64. He would go to my house because I had PlayStation, and I would go to his house because he had N64, and he had a Dreamcast. Which Dreamcast had Royal Rumble 2, which is actually a slightly underrated game. Actually,
hell yeah, I had Dreamcast. I had that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so like me, I had PlayStation. I was a PlayStation kid. Like it was. I started with Nintendo. Super Nintendo was my first actual system, my first one. I eventually got a Sega because I think like my mom worked like overtime. Like she worked overtime, and she was like, "I know you wanted this Sega Genesis shit. I got you a Sega Genesis." And I was like the happiest kid in the world at that time, especially in my neighborhood. Like you didn't have both, and it was like that in my neighborhood. Later on in the next generation of most people only had a PlayStation, a Nintendo, or a Dreamcast. You didn't have all three, and you usually didn't have two of those. And I think what makes No Mercy so powerful as a game is because it checks all the boxes. SmackDown checked most of the boxes, right? Like SmackDown had the Titantrons. They had, especially when Mark Henry had his Sexual Chocolate theme song, and he would come out, and they had like the big thing up there like that. And then they had the load screens where they had like Trish Stratus and the Godfather and people like that. That's where my era really was for me, was because I didn't have N64. And then once I eventually got an N64 later on, the games were I missed a good amount of on my personal end. Like I would go to my friend's house and I would play WCW World Tour or whatever versus the WCW NWO Revenge and all those games. I would play those games at my friend's house, and then I would go back and I would play WCW Nitro or WCW Thunder on PlayStation 1.
Underrated. Underrated.
So,
I played the shit out of some Nitro and Thunder.
Thunder and Nitro, once again, from a graphics perspective, I think those were the best games of that time. Like just because the wrestlers look exactly like you want, especially for the specs and what they could do graphic wise. Then they looked exactly like I wanted them to look. They had like the video when you pop them up there and hey man, it's Alex Wright. Like that shit, like that was fun. And Scott Hall, like, pick me. Like that stuff was fun. So those were the games where I was like, I would lock in. So it was Nitro, Thunder, SmackDown 1, SmackDown 2, Know Your Role. Like I would lock in on those games, and then I would go to my friend's house, and then I would play WCW versus NWO, Revenge, World Tour. Another game I played on PlayStation 1 was obviously WCW versus the World, which for
that's
me,
a great one. Underrated, man. Underrated.
Like that was one of the games where I was like, man, I absolutely love this video. Like I absolutely love this game, and I played that game to no end. But if I'm being honest, the Acclaim era completely lost me when WCW started to work with them. Backstage Assault, Mayhem. I think Mayhem was EA Sports. I think EA Sports did both of those. I'm sorry. I think
right before we move, because you're talking about Mayhem, we're about to move out of this. Because EA did it, and that was at the collapse of the WCW. Acclaim had one more. They had an ECW game when ECW.
You know what? That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about ECW games. I had them mixed up.
And it was still like wooden the way that Raw and Warzone was. But I believe, and you might be able to do this in the AEW game. I haven't played the AEW game. There's probably some some games that I'm not familiar with, you can do this. But on a major mainstream level, I'm pretty sure this is still the only one where you can do a barbed wire rope match.
Yeah, that's the only one.
And it's like damage effect, like you whip somebody in the ropes and then their back is bleeding. Like it's pretty fucking wild. I remember playing the hell out of that when I was younger. And then Mayhem. I remember I had Mayhem because it was in like the $1 bin at the rental shop. Because the new generation of systems had come out. I still had the Nintendo 64, and then Mayhem, was one of the most ridiculed games of all time. The fucking character models are fucking hilarious. You should go look them up. They did Rey Mysterio so dirty. He looks like E.T. Phone Home. Talk to me about that shit, man. ECW and Mayhem.
ECW is funny because my friend actually got the game and brought it over to my house, and he was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "I got me a PlayStation," and he's like, "It's on Dreamcast. I think it was on Dreamcast too." And he's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "I'm about to play this ECW game," and I was an ECW fan for two reasons: Sabu and Rob Van Dam. Those were like the reasons why I paid attention to ECW. Sabu, Rob Van Dam. So I was like, Rob Van Dam's on the game? He was like, "Yep." I'm like, boom, boom, I'm playing it. It was a tough play. Like, the game was tough to play because it's still Acclaim, and Acclaim did not understand. I think...
Yeah, it was on Dreamcast. That's where I played it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if there was a path and a way for Acclaim to take what they took from In Your House and mix that in with what they did with ECW, I think it would have been slightly better. And it's not like a horrible game. Like, it's not horrible, but it could definitely be a lot better. In terms of Mayhem and Backstage Assault, both of those are god awful games. WCW was on its way out. Obviously, that's what happens when you have those type of situations. I want to know what the budget is for those games, because when I played Mayhem, and it's fun, I never owned Mayhem, never bought it. I rented it from Blockbuster, and I was so disappointed because I wasn't watching WCW like that anymore. Like Goldberg wasn't undefeated. The NWO was kind of like out of the way. Bret Hart wasn't doing shit like that. I think he was like, this is right after, I guess, his concussion or something with Goldberg or something like that around that time. Backstage Assault, I did not understand the concept of a game that takes place entirely backstage, a wrestling game. Didn't really see the point of that.
So for my money, the 2K, the 25 years of WrestleMania, that's the best wrestling game of all time. The characters, the amount of arenas, just everything it provides has some shortcomings, but like as far as like everything all rolled into one, that's the one, man.
It's a classic for sure.
One of them that I didn't want to forget that I wanted to ask you about, if you had ever gotten into it or played it. I don't want to forget, because it's kind of a forgotten console. It's kind of a weird time in the industry. The Day of Reckoning games, for Nintendo GameCube.
That's funny.
We're kind of coming up on this period of time. Another thing from this era too, I want to get into as well, and we'll talk about it. Xbox, man. Xbox waited for a very long fucking time for their own proper fucking wrestling game, but there is some pretty crazy stuff that they did, but like before they got a proper wrestling game. Very interesting. I don't know if you experienced any of those games in I want to say it was 01, 02, 03, the games that were the first WWF Xbox games, but talk about that in a second.
You're talking about Raw? Man. Is that we're talking about Raw?
Raw and Raw 2, especially Raw 2
is
does all kinds of crazy stuff.
That was a weird era, man.
Some of it particularly not like well, but like it does some pretty crazy things, and we'll talk.
That was an era. Yeah.
Day of Reckoning.
I played Day of Reckoning. So here's the thing. This era was a lot different for me at this point because I was involved in some things and I had a little bit more money when these games were coming out. So I had a PlayStation 2, I had an Xbox, I had a GameCube, I had like all this stuff. And so, I played Day of Reckoning. I think Day of Reckoning was pretty good. I will say I was not fond of the wrestling games that were on GameCube though, because I felt like we were playing 3 different games on 3 different consoles, which was fine. But something about Day of Reckoning, I think I liked the first one. The first Day of Reckoning was pretty decent. I didn't like the second one that much. I didn't play it that much. But if we're talking about GameCube wrestling games before Day of Reckoning, it was the WrestleMania series. And I have to say, WrestleMania 19 is one of the absolute funniest and worst video games I've ever played in my life. They have you in feels like what's a steel mill industrial plant fighting security and knocking them off like an entire industrial building, trying to fight against Stephanie McMahon and and I don't understand what the purpose of this was, but I think that is the funniest video game I've ever played. I think it had potential to be on par with SmackDown Here Comes the Pain when it came out, because it came out, I guess slightly around the same time or around Shut Your Mouth or whichever one it is. And I think they just missed the mark on that one. But I will say Day of Reckoning is an improvement on those WrestleMania games. WrestleMania X8, WrestleMania 18, whatever you want to call it, that's a game I love. And I need to say that. I love that game. I love the fuck out of that game. I played that game on game. That's the only game I played on GameCube. And I played the story mode where you could be like, you do Stone Cold and Rock versus Nash and Hogan and whatever. And you did all that stuff. And they showed, it was like, I used to like reliving moments from that time period in video games because it was like, I used to have DVDs of like wrestling stuff and I used to be like really invested, but I used to like to play those scenarios back in the games. So WrestleMania 18, Day of Reckoning has some of that too. I think Day of Reckoning 2, I don't remember as much, but I remember WrestleMania 18 and Day of Reckoning being my 2 go-to games on GameCube for wrestling. And WrestleMania 19, like I said, complete and utter dog shit. It was awful for that story.
Let's talk about these Xbox games.
Oh man.
Raw and Raw 2. The gameplay was improved in Raw 2. It was very, very thin in Raw 1. These were the first major WWF releases for Xbox. There was another one that came out after this that was infamous. But
we talking WrestleMania 21? Or we talking
yes,
okay.
Yes, that is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yes,
I feel like that's what I knew. That's what you were talking about.
Man, but Raw and Raw 2, revolutionary at the time. It's still the entrance creators from that game could stand up to the ones today. And this was 2001, 2002 when these were coming out. The entrance creators was insane. Like the same, you had entrance creators before, but it was with pre-made parts. Now you could like do your own timing on your pyro. You could use, this is a crazy feature that it's like wild. I guess it's licensing stuff. I don't know. Back on the original Xbox, you could use whatever music you had downloaded onto the drive of the Xbox, and you could use the music in games. GTA, they had a radio station. You could play your own music on the radio station. But what this meant, you could put your own music into Madden for the menu music. But for the WWF games, this meant you could use any music for entrance themes. And I was creating all kinds of fucking awesome stuff back then, and I was having a fucking blast. Unfortunately, the gameplay didn't really stand up. They had in Raw 2, they had an extremely robust, like RPG style story mode where you walked around backstage. And I know this was in SmackDown too. It's weird because it feels like SmackDown actually like mastered all of the mistakes that Raw 2 made. But you would queue up rivalries that way. There was branching storylines, like how do you respond to what this person said to you? But some of the longer you went, the more the logic fell apart. You would just have like these forever rivalries that would literally never end. The title shots were really nonsensical. It's the stuff you would do. I became champion. Had all the belts, and I was like defending the world championship against Jazz in a Hell in a Cell on like superstars. Like it just got completely out of control. Jazz, the Roman wrestler, I mean, the legendary, all respect, go out there and whip my ass. But things would just kind of fall apart. So it was an incredible experience, incredible things to see in these games, but not a lot of depth, and things kind of fell apart, man. What do you remember about Raw and Raw 2?
I don't remember much about Raw 2, but when I had an Xbox, I played the first Raw, and I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I just thought it was like, well, I got SmackDown. I played the first Raw on Xbox and WrestleMania 21. I did play WrestleMania 21 for like 5 minutes, and then I was like, yeah, I don't think I ever need to come back to this. But I think those games, they were ambitious, and I think that period of time, the gaming world was more ambitious. It's very safer, and it's a lot safer now in how they do things and stuff like that. And so I was surprised and shocked that they went ahead and had those games on Xbox be like they were. Same thing for the GameCube games. Like, so PlayStation 2 just knocked it out the park, and I had straight A's, and she was like, God damn, I could hear her like mumble, like, God damn it. And so she's like, okay, she's like, I'll get you one thing because you got a good report card. Everybody knows how I was as a kid. You get a good report card, you're like, oh, I want this. And she said, what do you want? And the story I always tell was my favorite. SmackDown Shut Your Mouth was due to come out 4 days later than that day. There was in Ricestown Road Plaza in Baltimore, there was a store called Power Gamer. I actually think it might still be around. I haven't been like in years. Power Gamer was not like GameStop. They had games early. As soon as they got their games in stock, they put them out early. Like, that's how they did it. Like, GameStop would get the stock in 3 or 4 days early and hold on to it. Power Gamer got it, and they was like, hey, and I remember I walked in there once, and they used to see me all the time. I was like, hey, man, you play the wrestling games, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, hey, man, we got this SmackDown. I was like,
this is funny because everybody gets their games digitally. This was a thing back then. This is a thing, man. This was a thing up until about 10 years ago, where you would know that the retailers had the game in their hands 3-4 days before the release date. I remember I used to go to they don't have these anymore either, but we used to have a 24-hour Walmart by us.
Man.
And there was this lady I used to flirt with all the time, and I would go there and be like, hey, do you guys got this one in the back yet? And then she'd go get it for me and sneak it up. Oh, don't tell nobody, ring it up. Yeah, but that's how you do it. Yeah. You preload it, right? You preload the game. It releases when it comes out. It's downloaded in the morning. It's the release date. But back then, the retailers would have it in the back like 4 days early. And if you could go sweet talk somebody, or if you had a relationship built, you could get it and get them to ring it up, and you'd have the game 4 days early.
Man, I got every SmackDown game 3 to 4 days early because of that. Those relationships. And Shut Your Mouth was the first one that I got from there, because we would go to like Best Buy or like Circuit City or something like that, and that's where we would get the games.
Circuit City,
and then yeah, man, and we would go get the games. But like, we went to Power Gamer. I remember I was just like, I want a video game, and I wasn't planning on getting SmackDown Shut Your Mouth because it wasn't out. It wasn't out yet in my mind. So I was like, I got to strike while the iron's hot, because I'm probably gonna get in trouble again at school next week. So I was like, I probably need to strike while the iron is hot and just get what I can. And walking into Power Gamer, I had my heart set on getting like a NBA game or like something like that, like a sports game or something, or maybe even like, like 007 had those games, like The World Is Not Enough, Tomorrow Never Dies, those games. I used to play those games sometimes. So I was like, maybe I'll get one of those. And when I saw the dude, and he's like, hey man, like, I saw you in here before. You came in here, got a couple games in the past. And he's like, but you like wrestling games, right? Because I would always ask, like, hey man, y'all got any other wrestling games besides this, or y'all got that? And I ended up seeing him, and he's like, oh, and he had the box sitting right out, like the SmackDown Shut Your Mouth cover with Triple H pointing his finger on the front. He is sitting out, and I'm looking at the game, and I'm like, I want that. And my mom was like, that's what you want? I'm like, that's what I want. And she's like, all right. And he's like, yeah. He said, yeah, this don't actually come out till like Tuesday. I think it was like a Saturday. And he's like, this don't come out till like Tuesday. But yeah, we I got you. I'm gonna ring you up. And I remember getting home playing that game, and I think that entire weekend until the next day at school, I think I played that game probably like 15, 16 hours of those 2 days, that Saturday and that Sunday. And I got the game in like Saturday afternoon. I was up to like 1, 2 in the morning playing the game. You cut the TV down so you don't have your parents hear you play the game too loud so they can't tell you to go to sleep. So like I'm playing the game and I'm just like, yo, this is the best game ever. And I'm doing exhibition matches. I'm doing, steel cage and hitting people with chairs. And like that was the fun of that era. And so SmackDown Here Comes the Pain was the same thing. SmackDown versus Raw, I remember I was excited for SmackDown versus Raw. If people remember, this was when we got Andre the Giant into the game. Yeah. We got Bret Hart into the game. Like that, I was excited because I'm like, yo, I haven't played this Bret Hart since like In Your House on a WWF game. So, or WWE game, whatever. And I was excited. And so those games, I'll never forget. I was going through some stuff at the time, a lot going on, a lot of death in the family, a lot of problems, and I turned to SmackDown versus Raw 2006. That was a game that I played every single day for like 4 or 5 months.
I played the shit out of that game too. That was quite a time in my life as well.
Yeah, like it was just going through a lot, and it's just like you kind of just bury yourself in those in those distractions. And that's where that was a game where I'm like, yo, I love this game. And I played this game and I thought this, the legends were fun. And this is when you had to unlock the legends. I mean, you still got to do that now, but now you can just download and pay for downloadable content. So it was
fun. You guys don't know the pain of, so you said you weren't really a No Mercy guy, so you probably don't know what I'm talking about either. But I know
what you're talking about.
You had to go through the season mode to fucking unlock Shawn Michaels. Yeah, that was on WrestleMania 2000 where you had to do that. It was a fucking pain in the fucking ass. That's how you used to unlock Shawn Michaels to use in the game. It used to be. It wasn't even that you had to do it to unlock it. That shit used to be hard to unlock people back then.
Once they got to that point, I think once you hit a peak, it's hard to keep up with that peak. You can't get back to that, especially in entertainment. I think it's hard to reach those heights. And SmackDown versus Raw reached very high heights once you got to 2006, 2007. And then it kind of just got kind of lazy after that, which then, of course, obviously leads to the 2K era that we've been in now, where you got that WWE 12, which was, I think, one of the last THQ games, I think, and then WWE 13, which I still think WWE 13 is a very underrated game, and people should talk about it more, even though they do talk about it a good amount. That was the Attitude Era one.
That was the one with Punk on it. Yeah, that shit was fire. That shit was fire. There was a few things that were a little confusingly shortcoming about it, but it was to me, that's right behind 25 years of WrestleMania, which is the next one. As one of the best, the one with Punk on it. It was fucking excellent, man.
I also will say the one game that I wish they got a little bit better is Legends of WrestleMania.
That was really cool.
I thought it was a great concept. It just was not done properly in execution. The 2K era, outside of 2K, 14, which had the WrestleMania story mode and all those different things, I think the 2K era has been more missed than it's been a hit. They've got better every year. And I think that leads right back to where we started with 2K26 and what the potential of that could be compared to the others. I think what we're going to get is a new generation, next gen mashup of what WWE 13 and WWE 2K14 were. I think it's like they're just playing the hits, basically. You know what I mean? It's like you're just playing the hits like, okay, we know this works for us, so let's do this. Since this works for us, we're going to do this. And I mean, to be honest, like, you can't knock it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't knock that shit. So, it is what it is.
You can play the hit. You will be assured of a laugh. We brought it up earlier. I don't think either one of us can even describe in words. Look up look it up. WrestleMania 21 for Xbox. It was the sequel to Raw 2. It came out a few years later. You just got to look it up. I don't know what to say about it.
It's terrible. Yeah, that's all you can say.
It might be, all things considered, the worst WWF wrestling video game of all time.
I can agree with that.
There's some Nintendo legends that some people might argue, or there's a Steel Cage, there's a King of the Ring game for Nintendo that was, I think is a little bit better than what people think it is, but very cool roster, very cool graphics, very cool interfaces on that game. But we're back with another NBA episode next week. And then, the Medium episode, the media episodes, that's all based on what the viewership is on the Medium site. So whatever you guys keep pumping up for articles, we will be back on here covering whatever it is that you guys bump up as being more popular and you want to listen to. This is DAR Sports Media, and we'll see you on the sticks.